You're listening to The Collected Podcast, bringing you inspiration and resources to help you discover and live from your truest self. Follow along on social media at Collected Workshops, and be sure to visit thecollectedpodcast.com for show notes and to learn more. The Collected Podcast is sponsored by Clean Juice, a certified organic nutrition and wellness bar with more than 100 locations in development in 16 states. Learn more at cleanjuice.com.
Welcome to episode 29 of the Collected Podcast. I'm Jess Biondo.
I'm Tia McNelly.
And I'm Michaela Hooper.
This week, we are so thrilled to have Lisa Whittle on the show.
Yes, I'm so excited to have an opportunity to interview her because I've been enjoying her books and her speaking and all of her content on social media for a long time. And she has just such great truth and life-giving words all the time. Mm-hmm. Everything she says is a gift to believers and helping us walk a life that puts Jesus over everything else. She has 6 books out. Her most recent book is
Put Your Warrior Boots On.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And she also has a ministry called Ministry Strong. And Ministry Strong is actually like caretaking of people in ministry, which is incredibly needed.
Yeah.
And so on time. And so that is a once-a-year retreat where she invites about 30 people to come and just be loved on and nurtured. And she teaches on soul care. And we're excited for you guys to hear from her.
She's a powerhouse.
Yes.
So here she is, Lisa Whittle. Hey, Lisa, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, we're going to dive right in, and we would love for you to tell us a little bit about growing up as a pastor's kid, and when did you come to own your faith in Jesus?
Oh, so yeah, my faith in Jesus, that is a part of growing up as a pastor's kid, I think, because, my longest relationship has been with the church. And so, I've been a part of a faith community since I was born, right? So, but I came to know Jesus when I was 6, and I think through the years I've questioned, like, okay, was that a real decision? Did I really make that decision? Was it real? And I look back on it and I know that it was, because I can remember vividly the sights, the smells, the sounds. I was actually, I write about this in I Want God, but I was actually in a service at church, and I can just remember feeling this urge to tell Jesus I loved him, to really make a commitment to him. I wanted God for the first time in my life. And so I remember being afraid to tell my mom because I felt like she'd say I was too young. But I remember I just felt a compulsion to tell her. And so it was a very real experience. And so I really became a believer when I was that young. Wow. And I've loved Jesus for a long time. I've run from Jesus for a lot too in my life.
Yeah.
But I've also loved him very deeply for a very long time, and really been a part of, the faith community for a long time too. So there's been a lot to sort out with that as well. Being a pastor's kid, I think it's a beautiful role, but it's a very, can be a confusing role. It can be a difficult role. And I think sometimes, learning to separate your role and what you've learned and what you've known from your actual personal relationship with Jesus, it's super important. And sometimes it takes years, months, whatever, to really do that. And so it's been a journey for me.
I love your philosophy of Jesus over everything.
Yeah.
What a simple statement, and yet it says so much. How did you kind of come to that as your, I don't want to say tagline because I don't want to minimize it to that, but sort of your message?
Yeah. I for me, it kind of, I'm a bottom line person anyway. So I'm always kind of thinking in terms of like, what's the bottom line here? Or what is this, if you really boil this all down, what am I really thinking, or what am I really feeling, or what am I really afraid of? Or I kind of think in those terms. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think my faith, I've come to that in my faith too, is like, you know, there's been so many options through my life and for all of us, I think it's that way. We can choose this or this. We can, you know, we can walk down this road or do this thing, or we can do this. And so for me, I sort of need things to anchor me. And
Yeah.
I find that like a statement like Jesus over everything, it's really a mic drop statement of my faith. Yeah. And it's not like, I mean, I'd love to say that's how I live. I want to live that way, but it's more of like goals, right? It's like a hashtag goal for me because I'm growing. I'm getting there. I feel like some days I probably live Jesus over everything, and some days I don't do as well, or maybe this hour of this day I don't do as well, but it is what I believe. I also believe it's something that it clears out a lot of complications in our life. It clears out a lot of complications for me, because if I live Jesus over everything, or if I believe Jesus over everything, then my decisions from that place kind of get simpler.
Yeah.
And, you know, they really flow from that. So for me, it was more than just, hey, I just need to pick a podcast name. What should I call it? Yeah. It was more like, hey, what do I really want this to be about? I can't think of anything better to say than Jesus over everything, man. That's like everything to me. And so that's kind of where it came from.
Well, I just want to say, reading the different titles of your books and being familiar with, you know, some of your podcast and Instagram and things like that, like I've noticed that clarity.
There's so much clarity
in
there.
what you bring to the table that is so profound, because I think, like you said, I mean, you know, I think we're looking a lot of times for clear direction, revelation from the Lord ultimately. And I'm just like, I've been so encouraged by the things that you've had to say that I've already been able to glean from that are just so direct and bold. And so thank you.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, here recently, I was actually going to ask you about this. I noticed that you were posting for a while about the lies that we believe and just speaking truth about that. And that's been on your podcast as well. And so I just wondered, what's that coming from? Where, sort of what's going on in your world that is bringing up this need to dispel the lies?
You know, I can't say that it's something that I've necessarily thought, wow, I need to talk about the lies. But I do think that, I think in general, as believers, we combat this sort of truth versus lies constantly, right? Like, I think that's a part of our journey. I think certainly for me, there's just a need to constantly be going back to the truth. That's why the Word of God for me is not only everything, but something that I want to be talking about all the time, because there's nothing better than the Word of God. There's nothing else that matters more. And so, you know, if God's going to give me a voice and a place in which to use it, I feel like, one, it is within my personality to speak into some of the hard places. It's not always fun, and it's not always what I want to be doing, to be honest with you. I'd rather talk about easier things. I think it's you know, more endearing to people, but for whatever reason, God decided that this would be what I would need to do. And so we just journey through it together. But I feel like in order for us to be really healthy, and in order for me to be really healthy, it is a constant reminder of what's the truth about this. And it is the way that I try to live my life so that I stay healthy, is telling the truth to myself and to others. It is a practice for me.
That's so
it
good.
Is something, it's more than just like, it's not a strategy. It's really like, this is the way that I continually walk with Jesus and continually walk in the truth. And I don't let the lies of the devil get in there, because they very easily can. And so I think for me, I just felt like, you know, there's some narratives that I'm continuing to hear come up just in conversations with girlfriends or people in places where I'm speaking or just out there in the social media world, and I hear it buzzing around, and I want to talk about it. I want to speak into it in the way that I can. And so that's kind of, I think, where that came from.
That's amazing. So you just here recently kind of combined Jesus Over Everything and 5-word prayers into one podcast, yeah?
Right.
And so can you tell us a little bit about 5-word prayers and the devotional that you have as well by the same name?
Yeah, 5-word prayers podcast came out of the 5-word prayers devotional book that I released back in 2017, October. And, it was one of those things where I really was at a place in my life where I wanted to become a better prayer. And I was frustrated by the fact that I felt like my prayer life was a little bit stale, and I didn't know how to sort of make it better, I guess, for a lack of a better way to say it. And so I thought, well, I just need to, read a prayer book, and I need to see what this prayer book has to say about it. And because I'm clearly not doing something right. And, it's kind of ridiculous when I say it back, but because I've been a believer for so long, and it's, I might say that's silly to someone else, but I think when you're in that moment, you're like just grasping. You're like, what do I need to do? I'll need to read a prayer book or whatever. And so I got this prayer book, and it's a book that a lot of people were loving. And I thought, I should love this. But I was like maybe 50 pages in, and I felt very discouraged, and I shut it. And I thought, I can't do this long list of to-dos that they're telling me that I need to do in order to pray better. And so I felt very frustrated that night. And I remember I went to bed and I prayed this really simple, what ended up being 5 words: I love you, Jesus, help. But I wasn't trying to count. It just happened to be 5 words. And it was the best thing in the world, because I felt the presence of God so near to me, just loving me. And in that moment, I thought, it's not about word count. It's about heart intent. God just wants me to come to him in that simple way that I know how. I don't have to be eloquent. I don't have to be on. I don't have to have any of that. And so that's really where the devotional book came from. I thought, this is super cool. And it's not meant to be, hey, I want you to pray less, so let's water this down and just pray 5 words and be satisfied with that. What I actually meant for the book to do, and I think it's done this, is to help kickstart people that are at a place where they feel like they don't know what to say to God.
Yes.
And so they've chosen the option of just not talking to him at all.
That's so good.
And I want to take that sort of stigma out of it, that they feel like they have to approach God with this real fancy, breathy prayer and say, here's 5 words to start the 2 of you off, because I have every confidence that you guys can take it from there. And so it's sort of like this introduction, here's a couple things to throw out, and then you guys just will go crazy from there. And it's been a really sweet book. It's been a book that's gotten in the hands of inmates, and just, it's been super precious. And so from there, I started this podcast, 5-word prayers daily, which was amazing. And we did it for a year, and all thanks be to God that he helped me pull that off for a year, to have a 5-word prayer for every day for a year. I can't even believe it.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did it. But then we needed to rebrand and move into something new for a new day called Jesus Over Everything. And so it's great, because now we have a year's worth of evergreen 5-word prayers that people can go back and listen to on iTunes if they want a devotional for a year. So
that's so good.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we need sometimes? Just, we need a fire starter. We need something to jump us, to kick us,
just ignite something.
Yeah. We need to be fueled, and we need each other to do that.
Yeah.
So
and I love that. It's also just this ultimate trust in your reader too. Just as a writer myself, I feel like that is such a beautiful and honoring thing, to trust your reader with just that little bit.
Yeah.
And then know that the Lord's going to take it, and that they're going to press into him, and together something beautiful is going to come out of it that you may not even know anything about. So that's beautiful to me. Guys, we are incredibly grateful to have an opportunity every single week to remind you of the amazing company that sponsors our podcast, which is Clean Juice. We love their shots, their bowls, their juices, smoothies, salads, toasts, and we love most of all that their slogan for their company is healthy in body, strong in spirit, which is straight out of scripture.
Yep.
Guys, Clean Juice is the 5th fastest growing franchise in the entire country. They've got 100 locations, more than 100 locations now, in 16 states. And it's not just a juice bar.
Nope.
Clean Juice is actually in a league of its own because they are a nutrition and wellness franchise. They have prayer request jars inside every single location. And in case you didn't know, you could own your own Clean Juice.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, so if you live in one of those states that does not have a Clean Juice yet,
Do your people a favor.
and yourself a favor.
Yeah. And get yourself a Clean Juice franchise.
Come on.
You can learn all about everything about Clean Juice at cleanjuice.com. Be sure to follow them on social media at Clean Juice.
And if you don't feel led to open your own Clean Juice, just download the app and find one near you.
Lisa, was there a certain experience or revelation that inspired you to start Ministry Strong?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ministry Strong in many ways for me, I think God has been growing that in my heart since, man, maybe forever. Like this is tender for me. So, when you bring up Ministry Strong, like I can already feel, just the emotions. They're close because, my life in ministry is really my life of journeying with the church since I was born. My father was a pastor. I've talked about this candidly online and in books, but we had a little bit of a rough go. It wasn't like we had this perfect pastor's family. I mean, maybe on the outside for a little bit when I was younger, but certainly as I got older into middle school and high school, my dad had a public fall, and it really, it shaped who I was in my faith. It even shapes today in many ways the way that I myself preach the word and write. I mean, it's shaped everything about my ministry.
Wow.
But I knew that the Lord wanted me really when my father died about almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in April. When my father died, the Lord began to really call me out and kind of challenged me, I guess, in a way, and showed me a picture of my ministry. And at the time, I was super busy. I'd been writing books and I'd been traveling and I'd been speaking and all these, but I had been looking at my ministry from sort of this two-dimensional way. I'm a writer and I'm a speaker, and certainly I did other things, but that was my sort of primary ministry. And God began to challenge me and say, Lisa, what are you doing with all from all of your experience? And it was crazy because I was already so busy. And I thought, man, I don't need more jobs. I mean, what am I going to do? But it was like the Lord was saying, if you'll trust me and you'll begin to look at your life and your ministry in more of this sort of circular way in the totality of it, I will give you more time. And I have to tell you, I didn't know if that was possible. I thought, how can this be possible? Because I didn't have a podcast at the time. So it was like, wow, I want you to podcast. And it wasn't like the Lord said, I want you to podcast, but there were some things that that had come up, and it was very I knew that podcast was something I was supposed to do, and I knew I was supposed to start Ministry Strong, and I started those two things at the same time in addition to what I was already doing.
Oh my goodness.
It was something that the Lord just revealed that I needed to do, but it was very cool because Ministry Strong for me is probably what I consider my most important work, maybe. And it's crazy because it's one of the smaller things that I do. I mean, if you look at the numbers of that, we have people that sign up online to get free emails and so forth. And that's even a smaller group than is a part of my larger community. But even our retreats that we do, we only take about 30 people, and we only do one a year.
Oh,
So
wow.
in numbers wise, it's a small, intimate group, but I can just tell you that the work that happens there and pouring into people who pour into people all the time and are at the point of burnout and all these things, it's something that had my father had something like that, not that he would have ever gone to a Ministry Strong, but had he had something like that, I feel like it could have altered who he was and things that happened. And so that is certainly such a legacy piece for me.
That's
Ministry
exactly the word I
Strong.
was thinking
Yeah.
of, was legacy,
Yeah.
for sure. And
Yeah,
I know
it is.
at Ministry Strong, you talk a lot about soul care, yeah?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so we also talk a lot about soul care. And so we're wondering, what can you share with our listeners that you may share with the folks who can attend Ministry Strong about how to care for the heart, mind, spirit, and body?
Well, I talk a lot about it, and it's hugely important. I mean, one of the things that we certainly talk about things like rest and so forth. But one of the things we talk about a lot is boundaries, and that is a huge part of soul care. I think we misunderstand boundaries. I don't think we don't understand them. We don't get why they're important. So that's something that we talk about a lot. If you're not well within, you just cannot lead other people. And I think a lot of us, it's something that I say a lot is, you cause your own early exit from ministry by your unwillingness to set boundaries. And
Okay.
that's just something that, a lot of us do, and we don't mean to, and we don't want to.
Right.
But one of the reason for Ministry Strong in the first place is that so that we will continue to serve Jesus for the long haul, because I'm tired of seeing so many of us fall by the wayside, get so burnt out because we just have not managed things well. We've allowed ourselves to become so burned out that we just quit it all together. And listen, I don't say that from a place of judgment. I've been so close to burnout. I can tell you, I've thought, I can't ever do this again. Like before I wrote I Want God, and when you read that intro, you can see I was so much letting the opinions of other people rule me that I was going to quit ministry over that.
Wow.
And so, it really is something that I think can be remedied, but we have to pay attention to what's going on with us.
I love that. I love you talking about boundaries. And can I say too, I noticed that you are so good at boundaries just in the process of scheduling this podcast interview. And I really, really admire that. I even mentioned wow, she is so clear about what she needs and wants. And I love that. Yeah. Thank you for modeling that. It's wonderful. I appreciate that.
Well, it takes time, and I'm not always great at it, but I think it's important, and we have to do it, or we can't do what God's called us to do. And it's super important because, listen, people will ask you, and I'm sure you girls have experienced this many times, people will ask you to do a ton of things, and you'll want to say yes to all of them. Or they'll ask you, for this and that, and you really want to do it. But in order to be able to do all the things that God's called you to, some things you won't be able to do. I've had to do that with books. I've wanted to write 6 different books, but in order to write the book that God wanted me to, 5 of them have had to go away, at least for a while.
That's hard.
Or, saying yes to this event, you've had to say no to this event. And it is hard. And sometimes I don't know if I do the right thing, but at least I do feel like it's something that we have to continually try to do. And
For sure.
Jesus will help us. Yeah.
I think it's actually honoring, you're honoring yourself, you're honoring the other person or persons, and you're honoring the Lord. You're valuing and you're stewarding the things that He's given you to steward,
including time and energy and talent and
all of it.
Yeah.
So
well, and you want people to get your best, and they deserve that when you're there, to be all there. And I think a lot of us think it's a noble thing if we just say yes to this and do this and run this way and we're right. But then we're actually not giving anybody our best, and we're really running ragged here and there and everywhere. And it's kind of a lack of understanding for what we're supposed to be doing. It's probably equal parts arrogance and ignorance. I think that we feel like we can do everything. And believe me, I've learned this the hard way. So, I mean, it's not because I'm so great at it.
Oh, I love it.
But I think that's a part of the process too, is and understanding your boundaries is being able to acknowledge that and being able to walk it out and grow in it. And so I love your declarations. Like, I think I was thinking about that in your put your warrior boots on, because that's even a part of knowing being able to know your boundaries, and your knowing your identity and declaring the truths about who you are yourself, so you can operate with those boundaries.
Yeah.
Will you tell us a little bit about your most recent book?
Yeah, I mean, that book really came because I felt like a lot of us were living below our spiritual potential. I mean, myself included. We were having all these conversations, and they were very similar, and they were all very fear driven. They were kind of the same of like, the world's gone crazy. I don't know if we're going to be okay. And I just at the same time am reading Ephesians 1, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm reading here about this same power that raised Christ from the dead that's available to us. And so these things are not matching up. We are as afraid as the non-believers, but yet we are covered under the umbrella of this power source and this strength of Jesus Christ. The same power is available to us to walk through this world. And so it's not that we're not able to walk in this world strong. It's
Amen.
just that we're not tapping into something. We are not believing something. And it's not a name it and claim it, because I don't believe in that. It is a literally coming in agreement with the word of God, which is the final word, the unchanging word, all of the things. And so it's like, what does it say in the Bible? And what do I need to be more clear about? Because, declarations, just like the Jesus over everything statement, the declarations to me save myself a lot of heartache and really give me a lot of clarity, give the reader a lot of clarity for their life if they'll adopt them. Because if you say, I will follow Jesus forever, and that is a declarative statement that you decide is never going to change, then when something comes up, there's no choice to be made. Like, I'm following Jesus forever. Yep. I'm not changing that, right? Yep. Or I am able. And what was interesting to me is I did a poll on my social media. It was kind of a loose poll, obviously, but I think about 1,000 people responded. That's a pretty good idea of what you've got going on. And you've got people from Australia to everywhere in the United States, responding. 91% of people who responded said they do not believe they can walk through this life strong.
Wow.
Now, you think about this, and that's why it was interesting to me, because in all the declarations, there's 8 chapters, there's 8 declarations. Chapter 1 is I am able. And that is the chapter that most people have struggled with the most, because they're not even sure they're able.
Yeah.
And that showed me that we are not understanding or we don't realize that Ephesians 1 is in the Bible.
Wow.
Because if we really believe that, then we are either aren't reading scripture or we aren't understanding scripture. And so I think it's probably a little bit of both. But I really wanted to encourage my friends, we can do this. Mm-hmm. And, it's not because we're strong. We're actually not. Nothing's changed. The world's not going to change. It's still going to go crazy, and it might get crazier, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's not that fear can ever be cured. It's just that we can do this. And if we look to Jesus, and if we adopt these things that it talks about in the word that are pretty cut and dried, then we can walk through the world differently. And I believe it's time to rise to our spiritual potential. A lot of us are walking around, the whole idea of put your warrior boots on is a visual of the kind of shoes we're walking around in, because boots are the kind of things we need to walk through this crazy world. Mm-hmm. We can, a lot of us are just liking the flip-flops, which is fine for the beach, but it's not fine for spiritual combat. And so that's the idea, is like, swap those things out, put the boots on. Like, what's kind of interesting? You guys might be like, what? But I tried to write that book like 5 years earlier. And do you know that every one of the publishers that we tried to pitch that to, they were like, I don't know. You think the world's that bad? I'm like, are you really serious?
Are you alive right now?
Yeah, I'm like, are you? But that's typical of my vision personality. I've sort of got a visionary personality. I'm usually ahead of my time, which is kind of inconvenient for book publishing.
True.
But the realization is, it's like, guys, wake up. They finally were like, oh, okay, yeah, the world's kind of getting bad. But the realization is, we got to put these shoes on and be ready because things aren't getting any better. But it's okay because we've got this hope. So, yeah,
wow.
That's it in a nutshell.
It's amazing. Wow, you made quite a nutshell around it because that was phenomenal. I feel like we just went to church.
I know. I was like, can we have coffee?
Yeah, for real. Lisa, thank you for your time and your energy. And every word you just spoke was so life-giving and affirming and encouraging. And we are so grateful that we get to share your message with our listeners. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a joy. Thank you.
And we will definitely be posting how people can find you online and your books and anything else that you have going on. We'll make sure people know how to access it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
What a great interview with Lisa. And I really liked how in the end she was talking about how she had this idea for the book, the Warrior Boots book. But, 5 years ago, people weren't ready to publish it. And she said often a lot of her ideas, she feels like they're ahead of our time. And I think that is such a God thing that what we're creating today might not be for today. It might be for future generations and to inspire those who are coming after us. And, I think back to, books and pieces of art from, centuries ago that still inspire me today. It's like the work that God has given you to do and to create, you may not see all the fruit in your generation. But you have to just put that message out there or do the work that you feel like God has given you to do because somebody one day is going to need it.
Yes.
Even if you don't see it today.
And I feel like that's part of the message of the book too.
Yeah.
And so that gap in time of when she had the inspiration and when it was delivered to the people is part of the message, which is what you just said, Jess.
Yeah.
And I think that it's amazing the way that God can build things in like that we don't see until we're looking back and we're able to recognize them.
Isn't it cool that he gave us his word as an example of that?
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
Like his word is, just continuing to reveal itself.
So true.
I think it's so awesome how as his people, creation, he does that in us.
Yep.
And we just forget sometimes that maybe what he's given us isn't for now, but for later.
Yeah.
And Lisa, I was like, man, she really is a powerhouse. She just blasted us with so much goodness and revelation. And she even, I think there was a willingness in her to lay down her desire to see some certain things come to fruition.
Yes.
When she thought they should come to fruition. But she had an awareness and a willingness to say, you know what, okay. Even though maybe in the moment she was like, oh, you guys are crazy. But she realized okay, it's not the right timing.
Right.
And so being aware of that is so important. And I just think as we're creating, we forget that. We forget that, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be for now. And
even Jesus walked through that too, right?
Yeah,
Before he revealed himself. It's like, nope, not time.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, guys, whatever you're working on, whatever God's doing in your lives, we just pray that you would have peace this week as you trust him with it and you trust his timing. And we pray that you're experiencing his presence and that you'll join us back here next week for another powerful interview.
Remember, you are able.
Yeah, you are.
Have a good week.
Thank you for listening to the Collected Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you like what you've heard, we'd love it if you would help spread the word. Check back here for weekly episodes dropping every Thursday. You can follow Collected on social media at Collected Workshops. Find the Collected Podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/The Collected Podcast. That's Patreon. Become a patron for as little as $1 a month to gain access to bonus content, early bird ticket sales, exclusive contests, and more. You can also find Tia at Tia McNelly Notes, Jess at Sprezza Foundry, and Michaela at The Creative Space NC. Collected proudly supports and partners with Flourish Kenya, a nonprofit working to prevent and support unplanned adolescent pregnancy in rural Kenya. Learn more at flourishkenya.org. Support for the Collected Podcast is provided by Clean Juice. Learn more at cleanjuice.com and be sure to check out their lifestyle arm at wellhappyandkind.com. Podcast recorded by Jacob Early. Music by Asaph Alon.